Ever scroll through social media and get that, like, little pang of envy? Like, everyone else has these big friend groups, always out doing stuff, and you're kind of just, over here hoping for a plus one.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
We're going to dig into that today. We got this really interesting piece about why some people struggle to build a big social circle, and it gets surprisingly deep.
Yeah, this should be good.
So right off the bat, the author kind of throws out the usual suspects, right? They're like, maybe it's my age, or maybe there's just something about me, blaming themselves.
Classic self-attribution bias.
Oh, there's a fancy term for it. Break that down for me.
So it's basically this tendency to blame ourselves when things don't go our way, even if it's really not our fault. Like, you trip and fall, and your first thought is, I'm so clumsy.
Yeah.
But like maybe the sidewalk was messed up, or your shoelace was untied, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to blame ourselves than to look at the bigger picture. And when it comes to something as personal as our social lives, that self-blame can be even stronger.
So you're saying there might be more to this author's story than just, oh, it's me.
Exactly. And as we read on, the author even starts to hint at that themselves. They talk about how, moving to a new city made it harder to meet people at first, but now they admit it's not actually that hard to connect with people where they live.
So maybe the location isn't the problem. What is it then?
Well, they talk about the energy it takes to, put yourself out there, make new friends, maintain those connections. And they even say they worry about how having a bigger social life would affect their other goals and commitments.
That is so relatable. It's like you only have so much energy to give. How do you choose what to prioritize?
Right. We have limited resources, time, energy, even just emotional bandwidth. And if you're already feeling drained from work or family or whatever else you have going on.
Who has the energy to, go out and be the life of the party, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious, what was going on in the author's life when they wrote this? Because at one point they even say their social life sometimes feels more like a chore than something they actually enjoy.
Yeah, and then they drop another big one, fear. They talk about being afraid of getting hurt, being afraid of losing people.
Yeah, that vulnerability is real.
It is, and honestly, it's scary. I know I've definitely let that fear hold me back from, really putting myself out there.
And I think that's totally understandable, especially if you've been hurt before, like maybe you've gone through a bad breakup or you've lost someone close to you. That fear of opening yourself up to that pain again, it's natural.
It makes you want to just, build up those walls,
Totally. And to make things even more complicated, they mention dating.
Ooh, yeah, they went there.
And you can just tell it's like this whole other layer of stress and anxiety.
Because then it's not just about finding friends, it's about finding someone who you could potentially spend your life with.
Yeah, and they talk about the pressure of that, the fear of making the wrong choice, and even divorce comes up.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. And it makes you think, are we putting too much pressure on ourselves to find the one?
It's like trying to pick the perfect anything when you've got a million options.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis.
Absolutely. And that ties back into what we were talking about earlier. Limited resources. We only have so much time and energy to give. And if we're constantly agonizing over every decision, second-guessing ourselves, it's exhausting.
And it makes you wonder, what are we missing out on by focusing all our energy on just one area of our lives? Are we neglecting other things that might actually bring us more joy, more fulfillment?
Ooh, that's a great question.
It's like this author said, it's all about trade-offs. And maybe instead of just accepting the trade-offs we've fallen into, it's time to really examine them. Are they still serving us? Or is it time to shake things up? Just something to think about.